Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to Motherboards.org. Today we're going to take a look at something really cool from the people over at ASUS. For you AMD fans, you guys know that the Bulldozer AM3 Plus CPUs will soon be hitting the market. It'll be the first 8-core CPUs out, and ASUS has a motherboard to go along with that in hand. This is the new ASUS Crosshair 5 Formula motherboard. Has lots of great features on board. So when you guys see this board, you guys always know when you hear ROG, the Republic of Gamers, you know this is the high-end stuff from the people over at ASUS. This is the stuff that has all the really cool color signatures. It's got both black and red, so it's kind of actually geared really towards the AMD side of things anyways. So it's got that totally cool color signature. Those people who like making modified cases and modified systems that want to have that type of color theme inside of it, this motherboard is going to totally suit your need. Now, we did the unboxing for this over on our other channel, Tech of Tomorrow. You guys can check that video out up here behind me. You can link over to that and see that if you want to. But today we're going to bring you guys the full review of this. So some really cool things to talk about right off the bat. As I said before, AM3 Plus CPUs fully supported. You know, you get 32 gigabytes of RAM, that's all in there, DDR3. You get support for both Crossfire and for SLI. You get triple SLI, and you can use quad Crossfire, but only if you use 2 dual GPU cards. You can't actually use 4 AMD cards in conjunction. So let's just jump right into it. Let's take a look at what comes in the box, how the board looks, its features, and then at the end of the day, whether it's worth your money as the end user to buy this said product. Let's take a look first off at what comes inside of the box. Basically, if I was doing an unboxing, this is what you'd take a look at, or if you're actually looking at a bundled page in one of my written reviews over at Motherboards.org, this is what you'd actually see. So this is everything that comes inside of the Crosshair 5 Formula motherboard. Now, the board, as you can see right off the bat, features all of the Republic of Gaming colors. That's all the red and black that they're really famous for. Very much goes in line with AMD and ATI as well, because those are the colors that they like to show out in their fashion. Start off the top of the board, we can see there are 2 different sets of power connectors. We have an 8-pin and a 4-pin power connector here, and then over here to the side, we have a 24-pin power connector as well. As you can see, all the MOSFETs and everything on the board are completely cooled. You can see that all along here, everything's being completely cooled off. The heat will be generated in these and dissipate out through amongst the board. Down here also on the south bridge, you can also see we have another passive cooler right here. This keeps that cool as well. Everything on the board features low ferrite chokes and Japanese capacitors for long life of the motherboard. As you can see around the ZIF socket, this is going to be the AM3 plus AM3 Plus, so it'll support all the new Bulldozer CPUs. And all around there, you can see there's plenty of room for any of the aftermarket coolers that you're going to want to use. The memory is all right here. Features 32 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. As you can see these 4 channels. This is dual channel memory. Each channel is designated by the color in the slot, so you'd have one in one's red slot, one in the other, or both converting to the black as well. Right here, there's a USB 3.0 breakout box connector. This is where it plugs in. You have a little breakout box to do it. Also, up on the board right here, you can see there's a little thing right here, a little switch right here. This resets your motherboard. Then also, we're going to flip it around down here. There's 2 different controllers on the board. There's the AS Media controller. It controls one of these controllers. The rest of the controllers are all controlled by the onboard AMD chipset. That's the 990FX chipset. All of them are 6 gigabit. There's none of the old ones on here as well. They're backwards compatible. They'll run with them, but these are all the newer ones. It's good to see this motherboard uses high quality parts other than some of the other ones that used a different chipset, which actually ran at the old SATA 3 gigabit connection. So that's pretty cool. We also have an eSATA controller right here. This is also controlled by that AS Media controller. I'm going to flip the board around. You can see all the PCI slots right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this board supports triple SLI, but only dual channel for Crossfire. I don't know why that is, but that's just how it is. So probably the way the board lines up, even though there's only 4 slots, you can still only use triple SLI or just a standard Crossfire X solution. So I believe, though, if you did have a dual GPU card from Crossfire, they would work in here, but you wouldn't be able to use 4 separate AMD cards in there at the same time. Right here, we have the single PCI old school slot, and then we have a PCI 1X slot right here. Now, for the audio, this motherboard features the FX2 Supreme FX. Now, this is by Sound Blaster. This is really excellent audio, provides a lot of stuff, THX and all that good stuff for people who like to watch movies, play a lot of games. It's actually a pretty decent sound solution, not bad at all. Now, some of the good stuff on the board are these things right here. You have one-touch overclocking. You have a one-touch reset. And then you have, a start button, and then a reset button. So once again, this is the instant overclocking. You have one-touch overclocking, start, and then a restart switch. So basically, if this board was out on a test bench and you were running a test bench, all you have to do to go up to the board is just hit this. That would be your initial start. A lot of people use crazy stuff like screwdrivers to start their boards, but it works, but this is much better. Now, right down here, you can see these are all the connections. These are the connections that go from your case onto the motherboard itself. They're all pretty much evenly done. And also there's some little clippings right here. These things work in conjunction to make sure that you just click this on. It makes it really easy to connect everything. So that's basically the basic layout of the board. You guys can see that. Right here, there's actually a Molex connector here. So if you want to have actually some additional power to the motherboard, you have that here as well. Now we're going to jump into the rear I/O. You can see starting off that we have the standard PS2 keyboard legacy mouse port right here. This is good for people who like have a mechanical keyboard and stuff. They still want to use that. This is good. Then for USB 3.0, we have 4 of those right here on the board. They're designated by their blue code signatures. And then we have actually 7 of the USB 2.0s. That's 2, 4, 6, 7 of those. We have a single LAN port right here. For the audio, we have both the SPDIF for digital and the 7.1 analog here as well. Now, for those people who do a lot of overclocking, there's a little automatic CMOS reset switch back here. If you overclock your board too much and you need to restart it and don't want to open up the side of your case, all you do is just click this button right here and it automatically resets your CMOS. Now, this little connector right here, this is the ROG Republic of Gamer connector. That uses this little cable right here, and this makes it so your computer can be automatically controlled through the ROG Connect. So that's about it. Like usual, just want to mention that ASUS has lots and lots of stuff on their motherboard that has to do with overclocking for both manual and for automatic overclocking. There's all kinds of stuff. Motherboard features their Digi VRM. This is 8+2 power conditioning. Helps keep the board running really good and well. Like usual, ASUS is filled with features. Now let's move on to the performance section and see how the board competes. You guys know performance-wise, most boards only perform between a 1 and 5% margin of each other. This board performs in the higher percentage of the boards that we've tested so far, but usually performance is very close. What separates motherboards is features. The Republic of Gamers motherboard series themselves are famous for features. This motherboard is no different. This motherboard has great features on board. All the stuff we talked about, the Crossfire, the SLI, the ability for the new AM3 Plus CPUs, the color signature, all of these are award-winning things. Now, around the office, I've been duking it out with a couple of my technician guys because they're like saying that, the reason that you can't have, quad 4 AMD cards in it is a drawback compared to the UD7 from Gigabyte, which is really the only board we've seen so far that actually will support 4 cards. But me personally, as a user, I've never actually, other than I'm just trying to show off my Johnson and go, hey buddy, I got a bigger system than you, have ever had any reason to use 4 video cards. I mean, basically, if you're a gamer, there's no reason for you to use 4 video cards. So that feature to me is a very moot point, it means absolutely nothing to me. So at the end of the day, I gotta say, I think the Crosshair 5 formula is a serious editor's choice here on Motherboards.org. It's got great features, it's priced halfway decent, very available, and is a great thing for overclocking. So at the end of the day, I say thumbs up, good job ASUS, and we'll see you guys here again on Motherboards.org very soon.